Ever since he was a child, Joshua was always fascinated by fantasy stories. He had studied in the UK, which meant he had been exposed to Greek mythology in secondary school. He had heard stories about how Odysseus had defeated the Cyclops, in spite of its great size. When he went to church, he learnt about how David had defeated Goliath and wondered if there was a connection. If the story of David defeating Goliath the giant was perceived as fact in the Christian religion, could actual giants like Cyclops also have existed? The Bible book of 1 Samuel, chapter 17 says that Goliath was over 9 feet tall, covered in armor heavier than most men. His armor was 90 pounds of bronze just on his chest. His spearhead alone weighed 20 pounds. Only a man of great stature would be able to wear armor like this. And then there is the Bible book of Numbers, chapter 13 verse 33. When Moses sent spies into Canaan, they came back saying, "We saw giants there, we were like grasshoppers in their sight." In Egyptian hieroglyphs, there are gigantic people on thrones, with smaller people bowing at their feet. Museums are covered with this type of art. The usual explanation is that the art represents hierarchical proportions used in Egyptian art, where people of higher rank were depicted as large in the paintings. Hierarchical proportions is an example of people dismissing what could be a simple fact. That these paintings in museums depict actual facts that the Egyptian kings on the thrones could have been gigantic compared to people. In the movie Gods of Egypt, maybe the movie makers were trying to tell us something. That the Egyptian gods were larger than the normal people. Another interesting thing is that there are megalithic structures all over the world. Even in Japan, there's this massive boulder balanced on a tiny boulder, surrounded by water. Smooth as glass, shaped like an old TV set. No archaeologist can explain how it got there. The megalith is found at Ishino-Hoden. There is no explanation as to how it was formed or by whom. Scientists say the technology of the people at the time is lost. I don't think it's lost, I think giants created those structures before the flood. Being a student of theology at Oxford University, Joshua made the smart choice to not mention any of his questions to his lecturers, for fear that his ideas would be rejected. But he couldn't shake off the idea that somehow the two were related. He was studying the ancient account of the Watchers, angels sent by heaven to observe humanity, who instead rebelled against heaven. According to the Book of Enoch, these fallen angels descended to earth during the days before the flood. They taught forbidden knowledge to mankind, warfare, enchantments, astrology, weapon-making, seduction, and secrets humanity was never meant to possess. But one passage disturbed Joshua more than any other. It described where they descended. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared on the summit of Mount Hermon. Book of Enoch, chapter 6. Mount Hermon. Joshua traced the name across old maps spread across his desk. The mountain still existed today. Modern scholars generally identify Mount Hermon as being located in the border region between southern Syria and Lebanon. Every civilization surrounding Mount Hermon carried echoes of the same story. Beings descending from heaven. Forbidden knowledge. Giants. And a catastrophe that nearly destroyed humanity. Before the arrival of the Watchers, men relied on being hunters and gatherers of fruit to survive. They did not grow any food in one settlement but rather were nomads, moving from place to place in search of hunting grounds and fruit. The Watchers taught humanity various forms of knowledge that accelerated civilization's development. They introduced metalworking, tool-making, and craftsmanship, which enabled advances in agriculture, construction, and technology, though Enoch emphasizes their use in weapon-making. Other Watchers taught astronomy, including the movements of stars and the moon, knowledge that later became essential for calendars, navigation, agriculture, and timekeeping. The text also mentions the teaching of herbal and medicinal knowledge, involving plants, roots, and healing remedies. Later Jewish traditions further associated fallen beings with writing, mathematics, science, and secret wisdom. The Book of Enoch does not necessarily condemn knowledge itself. Rather, it portrays these teachings negatively because they were believed to have been revealed outside God's intended order. The concern is that humanity gained power faster than it gained wisdom, leading to pride, violence, warfare, domination, and moral corruption. According to the lectures in theology that he was having, many modern readers interpret the Watcher's narrative as an ancient warning about technological advancement without ethical responsibility. In this view, the story reflects a timeless concern. Civilization can progress rapidly in knowledge and power while lagging behind in moral and spiritual maturity, potentially leading to destructive consequences. So the Book of Enoch says the fallen angels had children with human women and these children were giants. What if these giants were the ones that built all these megalithic structures around the world, such as Sacsayhuaman in South America? It is no secret that Stonehenge, for example, was used for religious purposes. What if the giants helped build Stonehenge? Think of it this way. If all these megalithic structures and the evidence of a global flood point to the fact that giants actually existed, then we have evidence that God actually exists.